Hello and welcome to LTC Heroes live by Experience Care. Anyone who's been watching the program this week, you'll know that I have been interviewing a number of different CNAs from the Kansas area. It just so happens that I'm also from Kansas. And Lydia Marsee, did I pronounce that right?
Marsee.
Marsee is a CNA. She's from Olathe, Kansas, and I wanted to talk to Lydia about her process of become a CNA, why she became a CNA, and what her inspiration is. But before we get started, Lydia, welcome to the program, and just tell me a little bit about you, how old you are, where you're in school, and why you became a CNA.
Well, I'm 16. I go to school at Fort Scott. I mostly homeschool though. And I just wanted to become a CNA because I really always like taking care of others and like helping others. And my friend became a CNA, so she kind of inspired me to become one too.
And who's your friend, and how old is she?
Um, Callie, she's 17.
So Liddy, I'm 41, so I'm getting up there. But to hear that a younger generation is getting into long-term care is amazing. You're probably too young to understand how important that is, but to hear that you did it because of another 17-year-old and you did it at the age of 16, that is exactly what our industry needs. What did your friends say? I mean, you have 16-year-old friends right now who are at home playing a video game, or they're trying to get a job as an Amazon driver or something, and you decided that you wanted to help with long-term care. What did your friends say when you told them you were going to do this?
Um, I don't know. I guess they're kind of like surprised and yeah, I don't know. I don't really like go around talking about it all that much, but I have like a few other friends that are actually CNAs too. Like the people in my class are CNAs, and yeah, they're just yeah, it's kind of cool to be around other people that are CNAs too. But
How many students were in your class?
four,
Four. And
and there's like a range of ages, which is pretty cool too.
so you were inspired by your friend. What was inspiring about her story? What were the words that she used that you're like, oh, I want to do the same thing. This is unique.
Um, well, I first started hearing about like her doing it. Um, when she like the so we go to the same church, and we were talking about it, and she was saying how she was getting bonuses and stuff, and I'm like, oh wow. um that at first kind of got me interested, but it wasn't just about like the money, but she I kind of started talking to her and like just talking about the residents and stuff, and like what a great relationship she has with them, and it's just kind of cool to like because like you can be friends with like old people too, and yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Were you so I spoke earlier this week with Shelby and Rachel, and they were both nervous about taking the exam. I was nervous when I took the exam in December. Can you tell me about what classes were like for you? Was it very easy because you study all day long? You're in high school and you're at Fort Scott in college, right? So you are much more experienced at studying than I am. I'm far removed. Were you nervous at all?
Yeah, I was nervous.
Good. That
Yeah,
makes me feel better.
but I feel like I like after it was done, I felt fine, but it was I was still nervous. Yeah.
And what was the test like? I think, is it 100 questions? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was 100.
And do you remember what part of the test you did well with, or what part of the test you had to study the most for?
Um, so let me think. I say we had like a practice test before, which kind of helped. Um, but probably like what was hardest for me were like just like stuff with numbers, like trying to remember like numbers and stuff.
The
Like,
conversions, right?
hmm?
The conversions, like
Yeah, yeah.
liters. Yeah.
And so I was that. Those were probably like the ones I got wrong, but
How
I don't
many
know.
how many practice exams did you do before you went in the real day? I think I did 5 about 2 days beforehand. How many practice
I
exams did
I
you do?
did like I don't know. I did several like online. I was like, yeah, which it helped me prepare.
In terms of the interview, where was the first place that you applied to? What was the first long-term care facility you applied to, and why?
So the first one was Healthcare of Olathe. So, and that was the one Callie works at. So I applied there and I got like an interview, but then their HR person, she left. So I'm waiting for them to like get another one, or someone to take her spot. Then maybe I'll apply again. But
So if anyone is from the Olathe area, the Johnson County area, and you're watching this, Lydia is a smart 16-year-old who's waiting for you to call and recruit her. Take advantage of the HR person who left, because you have a smart person who's interested in helping long-term care. Lydia, what was the interview process like? Was it 10 minutes long? Did you fill out something online first? Did the person call you and give you an idea of what the interview was like? Can you walk me through what you thought you were walking into, and then we'll talk about what it was like in person.
Okay, so I called in and then we scheduled a time for the interview. And I've only done like had one other like job other than like outside of home chores and stuff. And so I only had like a little bit experience. And so I wasn't quite sure what it'd be like, but I knew I'd like sit down with someone and talk. And I was a bit nervous for that, but I think I did okay. And
How long was the interview?
it was only like 5-10 minutes.
Do you remember any
And
questions that they asked?
just why I wanted to work there and how long I had been a CNA. Let's see what else. And like why I wanted to become a CNA and stuff like that.
Did you rehearse or practice your interview?
Yeah.
You did? With
Yeah.
whom?
With just kind of like to myself and like writing down notes and like in my head, just kind of rehearsing it.
If you were to go back and do it again, let's say tomorrow Peter calls you and asks you to come in for an interview, how would you approach it now that you've already done an interview? How would you come in? What questions would you be prepared for? What would you do differently?
Well, I probably just have a lot more confidence, and I probably wouldn't like rehearse to myself as much because like it's in there and I know it. And I don't have to like rehearse for anything probably. Yeah, we'll see.
Lydia, that's been helpful. I think what I take away from this conversation that's been, so inspirational is that you're young and you did this because of another young person. If there's somebody out there who's watching this and they're thinking about getting into long-term care and they're 16 or 17 years old, do you have any advice for them? What would you say to them?
Probably like if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. Cause for me, right now I'm like for scheduling for another interview, I'm like, oh, I'm too busy. I have track, I have school. And for me, like you're always gonna have something that's like going on and you just gotta like get it done and go do it and be confident about it.
I agree with that. I'm glad you said the confidence. That's critical. Did you pay for your CNA training? Do you remember how much it cost?
No, my mom mostly took care of that.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
So I was at a convention last week in Missouri, and so if anybody's watching this and they're thinking about becoming a CNA and working in long-term care, last week I was at a convention in Missouri, and I asked in the room of probably 180 people, I said, how many of you all would pay for a young 16-year-old or 17-year-old who has some grit and some ambition and has some responsibility skills to go be a CNA? And almost every single person wrote that, raised their hand inside of the conference. So if you're young and you don't have the money and you don't have the support, go knock on a long-term care facility's door and ask them if they will support you and go do that.
That's cool.
Lydia, thank you so much for joining me on LTC Heroes. It was great to hear your story, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, thank you, Peter.
Bye-bye.